Okay, thank you, sir. You are on the floor.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure what I'm assigned the floor to do. I sent an application in and that's all I know. I mean, if you have questions on the application, I'm happy to entertain some.
I'll ask a few if I may. I know you had a horse enter to race in late May that was scratched in the paddock because you weren't licensed. And then there were some emails and communication that went back between my team and you on getting you to the license review committee. Why did you enter a second time on June 7th, I think it was, to race in Kentucky? If you knew you needed to be licensed.
What horse? Because I don't know that I did.
The 624, you entered another horse to run in Kentucky. I don't have that horse's name. Hazy, do you know?
Oh, I do know. I can answer that. The horse is named Lifeblood. I own half the horse with a man that I've never met named Alan Johnston. Alan Johnston, without telling me, took the horse away from the trainer Hunter Oakes and gave him to Chris Ryder, which I did not know about, and entered the horse in the sire stakes. I saw the entry and I called up Chris Ryder and I said, I called up Hunter Oakes and I said, when did you, like, what happened here that you're not training the horse? And he says, Alan took the horse. He gave him to Chris Ryder. I called Chris Ryder up. I said, I'm not licensed in Kentucky and I've been told I can't race there. I had no idea that the guy was training the horse, let alone that he was going to enter the horse. And he called up and told them, and the horse was scratched.
Right.
We've talked. I have, in my defense, I have I had over 200 horses. I can't keep track of every one, but this horse, I had no idea that my ex-partner, because that same day I made him buy me out, but I had no idea that he took the horse away, let alone that the horse was going to Kentucky. He was racing at Pocono Downs, and I have a Pennsylvania license.
What's the most expensive horse you have right now?
Well, I have a Tall Dark Stranger. He's in stud. He's probably worth he was worth a lot more, but he's still worth a couple $1 million.
Do you have agreements on him and contracts that show the ownership percentage?
I have 200 horses. I've had, according to the USDA, 1,700 horses since 1995 and 1,780. And I've never had any contract with anybody on any horse. Nor do I know anybody that does.
So how do you keep up with the percentages?
Yeah, I struggle. I do it for the most part, but I do struggle. That's been a constant problem. But I pretty much know. I mean, if you ask me a horse, I can tell you the percentages.
How about DC Batgirl?
50.
Has it always been 50?
Nope. It was always 100 until I think middle of last year to early this year, when I bought the horse from Brittany Dillon, who bred the horse, and I sold half back.
When did you sell the half back?
I said it's either the end of last year or the beginning of this year. But I own half.
So when you were interviewed by our investigator last summer, it included a lot of documents on DC Batgirl.
Yes.
And at that time you were 100%,
Yes.
but you only paid 50% on every invoice. Why is that?
I do have a little problem in that we're revisiting something. They made me fly down against my best interests at a bad time of the year during a COVID outbreak in my office, but they made me fly down there to answer every question, and I spent 3 hours with, and I don't remember the lady's name, and I answered every question in detail, and now we're being asked the same question. And I hope that this isn't going to be a yearly occurrence, because this is the only issue I've ever had in 52 years of racing. But I owned 100%. I did tremendous amount of legal work for both Brittany and her husband, and that was the way that we agreed. And it's sort of like it's a hodgepodge mess, but that's the way we agreed that they would take off the training. They would basically be covering their expenses and not take the profit by charging me half.
You had a similar arrangement with a vet
I
and
did
fire
not.
horn equine
I
and
did
McKinsey
not.
training.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question? I was talking over
So
you.
when we look through everything, you've got 50% on, not just from Brittany Dillon, but also the vet, McKinsey training, fire horn equine. If you owned 100%, why were you only paying 50% then?
I didn't know until the lady told me that. I thought I was paying 100% of everything but the training bill. And Matt McKenzie had the horse for maybe a month. So I guess that they had an arrangement with Matt. I didn't know. I mean, I have that many horses. I have a bookie. The bills on many of the horses, but not all, go directly to her. So I would not have seen them. Sometimes they come to me in the mail and I look at them, but I email them to her. But I haven't paid a bill on a horse in 5-6 years. I used to do everything by myself, by hand, and my wife took it over. And then when she passed away, her daughter took
it. Okay, that interview was initially revolving around Dean Eckley. And I think in the transcript you had said something like, you believed it was okay to allow Dean Eckley to send horses to Kentucky to race, knowing that Dean and his wife were ineligible to race.
No, that's not what I said. What I said was I believe it's okay for them to send the horses to a licensed trainer to train.
And who did you send the horses to?
This isn't, and it's, I appreciate your accommodating me with the Zoom, but it's really not that clear. I couldn't understand your question.
Oh, who did you send the horses to?
I sent Grace Rocks to Jamal Williams. I sent DC Batgirl. I sent another horse to Jamal, and I sent DC Batgirl to Matt. I think the senior moment can't be his last name. You have it there though, Matt
McKinsey.
McKenzie. Yes, I know we have it.
Yeah.
Yes. I did go over the transcript that you were kind enough to send to me, and I wasn't real happy because I noticed that there were some, to put it, giving the benefit of the doubt, there's some inaccuracies that I believe were intentional to mislead me in the questioning to guide my answers. I was told that in the transcript, it's in there that Dean Eckley was paying for the feed. He was paying for the stall rent, and I have since been told that that's not accurate. Dean Eckley had a barn at that facility, and he was paying the stall rent and the feed man. Jamal and Matt were at a separate part of the barn, of the farm, the other end of the farm, and paid their bills directly. But if you read that transcript, and I reread it, it basically is telling me that that Dean was paying for the stall rent on those horses, and that's not true.
We
Right.
actually subpoenaed those records from Clinton County Fairgrounds, and they did show that Dean was paying for both those barns. And then we have the documentation where he was paying for the feed as well. And we have statements from Jamal and Matt McKenzie that say that's the case.
I spoke to Dean, I spoke to Brittany, and I spoke to Jamal. And Jamal tells me that he supplied you records showing that he paid. That he paid the stall rent and the feed himself, and he has the receipts, and that he gave them to you. I mean, this is what he told me. I haven't seen any of them, and Dean said the same exact thing. Dean said he paid for his, and Jamal paid for his. And I
Jamal
assume
did he did make a statement concerning those records, but that's not the statement that he gave me.
okay. I mean, I'm in Philadelphia. Like I said, I have 200 horses. I know Jamal. I've dealt with Jamal before he went to Kentucky. I have pictures where I was at baseball games with him. I'm friendly with him, and I had no reason not to give him a horse. I like Jamal, and pretty much anybody that knows me will tell you that I do make a policy of giving horses to small-time trainers to try to give them a break. And I could list probably 5 or 6 that I have right now that they only have horses for me, and it's only 1 or 2. They work for people on the side to make ends meet. And that's what I assume that I did here.
Right.
Mr. Taylor, I know you're familiar with US versus Navarro et al. Documents have been unsealed in that case showing Fishman records back to 2009 for many of your horses. Did you ever check with your trainers to see if any of them had purchased products not FDA approved that you had paid for as well?
What was the last part? Not FDA approved, and what?
That you may have paid for?
Well, yeah, you have the records. I have the FBI subpoenaed my records from payments made to Equistology for probably, I don't know how long, but a prolonged period of time. There was 86 pages of records. There was over 1,000 line items in those 86 pages. And I have obviously since learned through just what I read. I mean, I really have no knowledge of Navarro versus US. I've read some of the transcripts on, it was either the Fishman trial or the Gianelli trial, one of the two. But, you know, I knew them. I didn't know Navarro at all. I knew them, but I'd never ordered anything in my life from them. I never received any products, anything from them in my life. And we paid the bills. There's, like I said, 1,000 line items. I've read in the transcripts what they were doing was calling these products by a different name so that nobody would question what they were. But there was, I think, 3 or 5, between 3 and 5 line items out of 1,000 that said BB3, which I had wouldn't question and would have no reason to question and had no idea what that was. So it appears through the trial that it was a non-FDA approved medication. But from what I understand, there was 60 or 50 other owners that were billed for these products too. So I don't know why I was singled out.
So, but after you were informed that you had been billed and paid for the BB3 for horses, did you then check with any of your trainers about that?
I did. I mean, there's limited amount of things. You do understand that there's ongoing litigation at the Meadowlands over this that I brought over this topic. So it's a little sensitive and I'm a little limited in what I can say. I will tell you that I have questioned probably 6 or 7 different trainers, and every one of them said they never heard of that product for this trial and that they didn't receive it. Nobody's admitted receiving.
Did
Now,
you
I've
ever
also-
ask? Oh, continue, sorry.
I've also since then conducted a little bit of an investigation into people that were familiar with Fishman and dealings. And they said that he had a habit of calling up trainers and saying, I have a new product I want you to try. And they would send the product to the trainer. And the trainer would think that he was getting a sample to try, and the owners were being billed unbeknownst to the trainer. So my trainers could all be telling me the truth and not even know that that I was billed for, or that I got this, or that they didn't order it anyway. But nobody's ever, everybody's denied knowing anything about this until the trial.
Did you ever ask Seth Fishman what products that were being bought and possibly used on your horses?
No, I talked to Seth Fishman maybe before he got arrested, maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. He would call me like once a year, and he thought, I guess we were friends. And twice he came into Philadelphia and we had lunch. And I could never understand what he was talking about. It was all other vets that he was having problems with money-wise.
What about other products that were in the invoices that you provided to the government and that were being used on your horses? Are you familiar with any of EQ 1 at 5?
What?
EQ 1 at 5?
Never heard of that till just now.
Even though it was listed on the invoices that you provided by subpoena to the government?
Like I said, there's 1,000 line items. The only thing that I'm familiar with that's on those things was I had 2 trainers in particular that went out of their way to buy massive quantities of omeprazole, which is like a stomach thing, and thyroid medicine. And I said, because I was getting, that's the only thing that stuck out was the amount of money I was paying per month for those 2 medications. I thought was way excessive, and questioned my trainers. But the other stuff, I wouldn't know what it was.
What about VO2 max?
Again, if it's on there, I don't know about it. And I never heard of it till just your question.
So you have no knowledge of the different drugs that may be administered to your horses that you've paid for?
Well, I have knowledge of the ones that I just said. I mean, so I used to train horses, so I have a little bit, not enough. I mean, I haven't trained a horse in 30 years, but of general stuff like equipoise and Adequan, things like that. Omeprazole and thyroid medicines were the ones that I was questioning and that stuck out to me. The others, and again, and I'm not trying to pass the buck, but I would say I never saw any of those bills before I turned them over to the FBI, with the exception of occasionally my wife would come in and say, do you know how much money we're paying for omeprazole or thyroid medicine? But the bills went to her, she paid them. The handwriting that's on that those invoices that I guess that Graal and that Michael Petrelli are making a big deal out of is her handwriting, and it was only dealing with making sure that we were billed the right percentages.
Did your clients pay the other portion of that bill then?
I'm sorry, I couldn't
Did your
understand.
partner pay the other portion of the bill? Or were you paying 100% of that?
No, and that's the other thing, which I mean that they're making a big thing. They're wrong. My bill was my bill. It wasn't my partner's, with the exception of I have one partner who's a very dear friend of mine, Abe Basin, and he didn't pay any bills. What he did was I had a checking account with me and Abe, and just because we're friends, we paid 100% of the bills for his horses out of that checking account. But other than that, when I would get a bill, it would be for my percentage only. And that's why, number one, you have all that handwriting to determine the check on that I was only being billed from my percentage. And number two is that's why there were multiple accounts because I had accounts with Abe. My mom's 92, 91, and she doesn't pay bills at all. But she owns probably 30 horses with me. So we have a separate account for her. Now we, meaning my bookkeeper, would get billed, but again, it was a separate bill for my mom that we would pay out of my mom's account. But we would manage it for her so she wouldn't have to. You know, the FBI went through all these records and gave me a clean bill of health. So I don't even know why I'm being questioned by a commission when the FBI checked. Nobody's ever even investigated me. They asked for the records. I gave it to them. And that was the end of it as far as I was concerned until I saw that it popped up at the trial. And again, I don't know why they singled. I don't even know that they only singled me, but that was the prominent.
Mr. Taylor, we received your explanation of the invoice that I had given you copies of when we spoke. Can you explain to the committee the explanation that you gave of why we would have one invoice that was sent to Indiana for BC Batgirl and then a separate one that was sent here? And then we received a third one from Dr. Baliga through Sabina. Just what did you find out when you went back to your home about that situation?
I asked Ashley, she had no idea. She was asked twice and she dug it up and that's what she had was what we sent. I have no explanation for the difference. It wasn't anything that I would or could have tried to hide. I did just two different, they're the same bill, but two different headings. And
There is different information, yes. The one that went to Indiana had Dylan Staples listed on it, and the one we received did not. And then us showing a separate invoice on the Indiana, a separate billing, the previous billing for the same vet was listed on the Indiana invoice that we did not receive.
Again, I never saw it until you showed it to me, and she just said, you know, she was asked for the bill, and that's what she pulled, and that's what she sent. She said she didn't notice that there was two different bills until I asked her.
Did you provide those invoices, correct?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by correct.
Did you provide the invoice?
I asked her to send it to either me or to the commission. But they came from Ashley.
Okay, so you're saying it was not your responsibility on the invoice, but Ashley's responsibility?
Well, it's my responsibility, but it was Ashley that did it. She keeps the records. I don't have anything. She has, I guess, you know, I've been to her house, but not that part of it. But she's got an office in her house that she's got, I don't know, boxes of records. So she pulled them and sent them as requested. But those are records that I never saw until I was shown by the commission.
Mr. Taylor, my name is George Hayden, and we've spoken before. Do you remember filling out your application?
For the 2025 license?
Yes.
Yes.
And you filled out that application in how many years?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
How many years have you filled out that application? You've raced in Kentucky for how many years?
Oh, boy. More than 20, I would say.
Yeah. Well, in on that application, it asks you for any fines, any suspensions, anything, correct? And you understand it that way, is that correct?
Yes.
What about this suspension in Indiana? And who's your part?
Me?
Yeah,
I've never been suspended in Hoosier Park or Indiana.
never
Not that I know of.
that you know of?
Oh, I would have
Oh.
forgotten about that. It was by mistake. It was withdrew. It was a 2-day thing that they withdrew. So no.
Can you explain to this committee what it was for?
Yeah.
Please. Okay.
The guy lost his job over it. Some overzealous, and I forget his name, but you know his name, maniac. The commission wanted some records, again, dealing with Dean. I supplied the records. Well, I'm sorry.
Who were the records for?
As I remember, they were dealing with Dean Eckley.
Dean Eckley, okay.
But I supplied the records. This maniac went to the judges and said that I was uncooperative and refused to supply the records, and told the judges to issue a summary suspension. Now, I had all the emails. I had an email chain that I had supplied the records to this guy 2 days before he went to the judges and said I didn't cooperate. So they never, but I was suspended and I did not know I was suspended. Nobody called me, nobody asked me, nobody did anything. What they did do was they called the judges at Dover and said I was suspended. It wasn't like the judges called me and said you're suspended or asked me questions. They asked me for some records, I gave them.
What were the records about?
Talking years ago, so
It wasn't years ago.
2 years ago.
Well, that's not in the terms of this filling out this application. That's not years ago, but that's okay. What were the records about?
I am sure that they were about Dean Eckley, but I can't remember exactly. But in any event, I supplied them to their satisfaction. But this guy went to the judges and said I didn't supply them, even though I had email chain showing that he did. The judges called the judges at Dover and said that I was suspended. The judges at Dover called me, not the judges in, nobody from Indiana ever called me. And they said that Indiana called down there and you have 2 horses racing at Dover tonight, and we're going to have to scratch them if you don't get this thing straightened out. And I said, I don't know anything about it. And I called over to the attorney and Rothenberg, and I tried to call Dina Pittman. She was in a conference, and I called Rothenberg and I said, listen, I said, I can prove that I fully cooperated. I said, I don't know what this is about, but if my horses get scratched, there's going to be a lawsuit. It was Monday night. And I said, Tuesday morning, there'll be a lawsuit on your door that you can't win, and the commission's going to have to pay. They went and got Dina Pittman out of a meeting in Vegas. No, she went in a meeting somewhere at a convention. And she said, Howard Taylor's right, remove the suspension. It was put on an error. And until you mentioned it, I forgot all about it. But I didn't know about it until 2 days after it was put on. And a half hour after I found out about it, it was rescinded. So really, it was, since it was rescinded, I don't think even if I had thought about it, I would think that I would be required to list that.
Mr. Taylor, if I can return to questions regarding the U.S. versus Navarro et al. Case, which would include Mr. Fishman. Have you had a chance to review the over 5,000 records that have been unsealed in that case?
I didn't hear. Have I what about the 5,000 records?
Have you had a chance to review those?
No, I have no interest in that case. Other than with the litigation that I'm bringing against Jeff Corral. But no, I have not.
So with regard to your statements today about not knowing the types of drugs that were administered to your horses, do you then believe that you were deceived by your trainers in that regard? with what they were
No.
using?
No, I don't believe that.
Do you believe you were deceived by Dean Eckley and Brittany Dillon in any way?
Regarding the Fishman thing?
Just in general?
No, I have a good relationship with both of them, and I don't believe that they deceived me in any way. You know, no.
Anyone else have anything for good? Oh, yeah.
Fine, our last question here. Thanks for being with us today. Have you used My Call as a trainer?
Yes. I believe I still have a horse with them, but I'm not, no, I don't have any horses with them currently. I just got a bill from him yesterday, but he sent the horse to a different trainer.
Did you help Jamal Williams find employment with My Call after he left Dean Eckley?
No. I would have, I didn't know he was working for My Call until I didn't know, well, no, I lied. Well, now that you're saying that, Jamal was leaving Dean, and I don't think Dean knew about it, but he had planned to leave Dean. And Mike asked me if it was going to be a problem for me if he hired Jamal. I said, I don't care. I think Jamal's a good worker. I like Jamal. So I don't know if I helped him. He had already, I didn't quash it. I guess Mike called me up and he said, if there's a problem with me hiring him, I won't do it. And I said, absolutely not.
Mr. Taylor, this is your last opportunity to make any statements to the License Review Committee before a determination on your application is made. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
Other than I've been in business since I was 12, I'm 66. I have never been in trouble other than, well, I guess this whole Fishman thing is to me a joke. I mean, I never bought anything. I never placed an order. I never received anything. I didn't know anything about anything until everybody else in the world did. And I had nothing to do with that. And again, there's lists of, he had thousands of customers, some of the biggest names in the industry. So I was just one of them, and that was by my trainers. Somebody asked me, I guess in this litigation, that I have with Fishman, that I have so many trainers, and I do. I had multiple accounts because I had multiple partnerships, but I've never really, well, when I say never, when I was doing my own books, which is probably 8 to 10 years ago, I would look over the bills, but I never questioned what a trainer orders. And I am very confident that there was nothing illegal, with the possible exception of this BB3, which I have no explanation, don't know where, didn't ever hear of it until the trials. As far as this licensing thing, I met Dean because Dean, I don't remember how I met him, but I knew him, and he had a fire in New York, and he lost literally everything. He lost his truck, his trailer, his horses passed away, and every piece of equipment. He had nothing. And I guess I had represented him for something, because I do know that he was on some suspension. And I remember saying to him, I feel bad that this happened, and I can't give you a racehorse because you can't race, but I can give you a baby to train down, and then, when it gets ready to race, you're gonna have to give it away. And I said, go pick one out, and he picked out a very good horse. By the time the horse was ready to race, he was relicensed and raced the horse. I have had I've never seen somebody so, people are literally out to get him, and I do believe that. And I do know that that one guy, and I can't think of his name, Linkmeyer, absolutely, because he's told me, had it out to get him. But I've never seen something where somebody is so, I don't want to say hated, but people come up to me, and I said this to you. They say he's bad news. Why do you associate with him? And I like the guy, and I say, okay, well, tell me what he did that's so bad, and if I can document it, I'll never have anything to do with him. I'll never speak to him, and nobody can do that. It's amazing to me. People say he's bad news. I don't know why, and I said, okay, why? What did he do wrong? And they say, I don't know. I just know that he's bad. And it's funny because there's another owner that has horses with the named William Hart, and he's got a lot of horses. And we were talking because he called me up with some questions on the horse that we have together. So he's sending me a check, and we started talking about that. He said the same thing. He says, I like the guy. I don't know what he's ever done wrong. I've asked the Indiana Race Commission, if you give him a license and he does something wrong, then you can suspend him and kick him out. I said, but all you're doing is using innuendo to keep him unlicensed. So I like the guy. I have no regrets other than he's caused me to go to this meeting and the issue in Indiana. But I don't regret. I think he's a nice guy, and I think he's a good trainer, and I've had some success with him. As a matter of fact, I was instrumental in getting him his license back in Pennsylvania, and he's had no problems there. And I have horses that race with him in India and in Pennsylvania all the time. But other than that, I've had no problem in 52 years. Matter of fact, I'm the one that most people come to get out of problems or to help them with problems.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. What can I ask the time frame for this decision?
We have one more applicant after you, and then we will go into closed session, and then we'll come back out. So it happens today, yeah. Mariah will put you in the waiting room
Okay.
while we meet with our next applicant.
Okay. Thank you.
He's gonna be listening too. He's here. Oh, he is here.
Yeah, he's here.
That's fine.
Chair would entertain a motion from the committee to take up the matter of Jamal Williams 2025 license application. Is the chair have a motion from the committee?
So moved.
Is the chair have a second from the committee?
Second.
All committee members in favor of taking up the matter of Mr. Williams 2025 license application, please indicate by responding yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please indicate by responding no. Did anyone abstain? Motion carried. Mr. Williams, you are assigned the floor, but before you take the floor, we'd like to get you sworn in.
Sir, if you would raise your right hand and be sworn, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am. All right, Mr. Williams, you are assigned the floor.
Why are you here?
Right, committee. That's about it. Other than that, I have no idea.
Do you remember when you were interviewed by our investigator before
Yes, ma'am.
a year ago now? Did you tell the truth about working for Dean Eckley
Yes, ma'am.
initially,
Yes, I did.
the first time in the interview? I think you were interviewed twice, right?
Yes, I was interviewed twice.
And did you tell the truth the first time?
Yes.
Jump in there.
Originally, I think in the first interview, you said you worked for yourself and not Dean Eckley.
But I
Do you
had,
remember that?
yes, because I had my own horses, so like it was, like I got done with mine, and then I would go pay up job years, extra money. But now, I have no horses anymore. Now I work for no. Because I was told to, if I wanted to better my career and have a better future in this industry, I need to surround myself by better people. And I took that. Took that and I ran with it. That was some good knowledge that I feel like it's gonna get me a long way.
Did you receive a salary to work for Dean Eckley during this time frame? During both of the interviews that we had.
No,
Did you receive a weekly salary?
I mean, I got paid weekly to jog the horses.
How many horses were you working for?
Like 4, I did jog 4 horses a day for them.
Jogged 4 horses a day for him. That's all you did was jog them.
Yes, that was it.
How much you get paid to jog 4 horses a day?
It's $10 a horse.
$10 a horse? You jog them 5 days a week?
Yes, sir. Monday through Friday, and if they raced in that week time, then no, I wouldn't jog them.
Who got them ready to race? Did you race them?
No,
No.
it's grooms racing.
Right.
It's people racing. But it's I just jogged. That was it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I only had 3 horses, so like.
Probably ended. Estimating that it was $600, yeah. So let's see, I think you had testified that, $650 a week you were receiving in cash
Yeah,
for jogging horses.
Is that the standard rate?
sir.
Is that the standard rate
I guess that's the standard rate.
to jog horses? What would a groom make?
I think grooms started my grooms, they started at 500 when I had my own horse. People that work for me started at 500 a week. And there's
Somebody would take you $650 to jog and the groom would get paid $500. Seems like some abnormal math. What do you think?
I mean, it don't seem right, but that's the way it kind of worked, I guess.
So is that just a special deal for you, or that people with your skill set that
Yeah, I think
is
that's
applicable to?
I mean, from what I was told, that the riders get paid more than the grooms because of, I guess, the experience on the track or something. And like training horses and stuff like that. And I haven't fully understood the debate right in this.
So when you were interviewed last time, I think you provided documents to our investigator, representing that you were doing the training at the time, but were in fact created by Dean or his wife, Brittany.
Yeah, she did my billing.
Who are you working for right now?
No, that
No, it's you told me that work with him. You don't do any work for Mike Hall?
no, I don't.
Why do you want to come to Kentucky?
Just Kentucky is, I'm closer to home. I'm from Mississippi.
Are
So
you?
like, if something happened at home, instead of me like driving from out east, which is 16 hours from home, I'm 6 hours now. And if something happened, I can get home closer. And I think Kentucky is like the future for racing. I kind of feel like Kentucky is a good spot for racing. And a lot of my buddies race here. That's from Mississippi.
So last time, so you just testified that you told the truth both times when you were investigated a year ago. But I'm seeing here that you said you did not tell the truth when he said his mother created his bills and said the bills that were represented to the owners are coming from Dean Equity. That the trainers that worked for Dean while they were in Kentucky were him, two other gentlemen. Are you changing that now?
Yes, like now, I mean, my career, so I can, if I want to do this, I don't need nothing holding me back. So therefore, yes, like now everything is, like I said a year ago, I told her a year ago, everything now is not on the day. Like if I want to do this and have like a good way doing this, I don't need nothing to hold me back. And I have put myself around people and put myself in situations that could jeopardize my future in this business, in this industry. And now it's time to move forward.
So just to clarify, how has your statement changed today from your last interview? Are you saying that the last interview you gave with the investigator, that the information you gave her was accurate?
Both of them were accurate?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, now from last time me and Miss Jennifer talked, not Miss Jennifer, Miss Shannon.
Yeah.
Last time me and Miss Shannon talked, and now everything is accurate.
Because, let me get this right. If I'm not mistaken, he had 2 interviews with you.
Yes.
The first time, you were not accurate.
And the first time was not very accurate.
Yeah, bad news. Second time, you were accurate.
Yes, sir.
And today, who showed up? Accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's good. Because if you want to move forward with us, you have to put it all on the table.
Yes, sir.
You just do. Nobody's playing here. And your future lies here. So if questions asked, answer the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So are you affiliated with anyone now?
Nobody but know that what it.
How did you come to work for my call?
Said, how did I come to work for my dog? Well, I mean, I know that y'all see like my USTA results, like too. So when I got it the last time I got in trouble in Pennsylvania, when I got the positive in the qualifier, I was like, I was done, like I was out of this. I was ready to go try to get my CDLs or something else. I wanted to try something else, but I like dealing with horses. And Mike is a very nice guy. I don't know if y'all know him or maybe I ever talked to him, but Mike is like a very down to earth, nice guy. Nice guy to be around, nice guy to talk to, nice guy to work for. And he asked me, would I come work for him? Like, would I come train babies for him? And I was like, yeah, why not? And so I went to Delaware and I did that. And then, like, we just launched, we just went from there. And then I told him earlier this year, like, man, I think I want to try to work for somebody who has actually, like, been in the bigger stages of this. Like, I want to go and try to work for Noel or Lunda, run a Burke, like anybody. I want to try to work with somebody who's been at the bigger levels instead of just staying racing like claiming races. I want to race states. I want to do side states. I want to do a lot of the big programs. I want to try the big outfit. And so I ended up with No Day.
Not because Mike got trouble or, no, okay.
But everything I do now is switch them out. I don't care. I don't care how nobody feel no more. At first it was trying to protect friendships and all that, and now I'm past it. Like I had to grow up in life, and now it's all about me. It's about my future, nobody else's. And I'm not gonna let nobody stand in the way of my future.
Well, prior rulings have
I had I can't remember, I can't pronunciate the deposit in Pennsylvania. I can't. I don't know. I just know I got a positive test in the qualifier. I don't really know the name of the stuff. But in Indiana, I got in trouble for giving yogurt on race days.
Do you know what class the drug was in Pennsylvania?
Class A, I think. I don't know. To be sure, I'm really.
Yeah, class one, see that.
And that was in February of 2024.
Yes,
And did you receive a prior positive for Emily, last one in November of 23?
that's the only positive I've ever had. Was the one in the qualifier.
Okay, so that's when it happened. Okay, got it.
And I showed up late to the paddock one time at Northfield. Because I thought that if my horse wasn't on laces, they had to be there an hour prior to post time, but it wasn't the case in Northfield. They still had to be there same time as laces and socials. And I was fined $100 for that.
Just real quick, last question from me. The TYD race, explain that to me.
TYD. That's Tyler Dillon. Just bring this on. He had his own horses. And I had a couple horses for him. But
So what was going on with TYD racing? Right, vehicles and all that other stuff. There's Zelle accounts and what was the reason TYD racing set up?
I didn't. What I didn't. It was OTUs. Well, Tyler was a nice kid. me and Tyler actually had horses together, like on deals. But like, he'll claim horse, and like an outrace horse. And his dad, stepdad had with Austin and Nix,
Who was the stepfather?
I think.
All right, Mr. Williams, this is your last opportunity to make a statement to the License Review Committee before determination on your license is made. Is there anything that you would like to say to us?
Yeah, I know that I want all y'all to hear me out here. I'm not a bad person. I have made bad decisions. And I feel like I do deserve a second chance to get everything back right. Not just for the sake of myself, but just for, I feel like I have a bright future in this. And I wouldn't mind making Kentucky like my main place to race. But I mean, can't do nothing to justify if y'all don't want to give me a license. And I just asked for a chance. That's it.
So we go into closed session, you wanna wait back out there, and then we'll come here, yeah.
The chair would entertain a motion from the committee to convene in closed sessions to deliberate regarding individual adjudications pursuant to KRS 61.810, section 1, subjection J. Does the chair have a motion from the committee?
So moved.
Does the chair have a second from the committee?
Second.
All committee members in favor of convening in closed session, please indicate by responding yes.
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 All opposed, please indicate by responding no. Did anyone abstain? Motion carried.
Okay,